Hey everybody, quick post editing Ascent here. I just got word that Rick Campbell has been fired as coach of the BC Lions. So yeah, I imagine the three of us are gonna talk about his coaching legacy in our next monthly video. But yeah, just wanted to let you guys know that about that quick update for us for today, Wednesday. So yeah. On to the video. Hello, everybody. This is the Section 214, a BC Lions podcast. Or at this point, it would be more like a CFL podcast. Yeah, I'm Ascent. I'm here with my friends who came with me to the Grey Cup game yesterday, JS and Hammer. And this is going to be particularly, I'd say this is going to be like a fairly long episode, considering this is going to be the last of the weekly episodes, right? And we're going to be transitioning to more, monthly episodes from here until next June. So we might as well have a pretty uh, long length episode just to supply uh, the viewers with for now until like whenever our next monthly episode is. But uh, yeah, so. What we got on the docket is we'll be talking about a lot of things outside of the Grey Cup game, right? I guess we'll get out of the way. I did want to talk about the CFL awards. Uh, yeah, I want to talk about the CFL award winners today because I thought that they were what's important, and not only that, I mean, they didn't really have much of an impact on the game, but we'll get the Grey Cup game, but we'll get to that. So, uh, so yeah, as expected, Brady Oliveira, he got most like the MOP and the MOP award, like the most outstanding player award, and the top Canadian.
I think
So
you guys would know throughout the show that I hate Oliveira, but I hate him because he's so good and he brutalizes the Lions every time he plays against us.
success
Didn't
breeds
Grudging
contempt, right?
respect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as we expect. I mean,
didn't
yeah,
quite
sure
show that in the Grey Cup. You kind of wish he
sure
did that
didn't.
against us, but he's a great player. He deserves MOP.
He definitely
yeah,
does. So
both
congratulations
awards.
to him for sure.
Yeah, and William Milligan Jr. on Saskatchewan, he was named best defensive player, which that kind of surprised me. I thought it would be someone on Montreal or Winnipeg that would get it, like maybe Willie Jefferson or something. But yeah, um, Nick Anderson was named the best rookie, and yeah, I guess I guess he was one of the players most responsible for like the Elks had a decent run near the end of the season, but they just ran out of steam, right? Just at the worst. Just
Worst
this
possible
is
moment
good
for them.
with possible moment for them. But yeah, he had a I imagine he was probably one of the players that was responsible for winning like after Chris Jones got fired, right? Which was important.
Oh yeah, they
uh
went on a bit of a run there.
yeah. I didn't know about the CFL award at the best lineman award, but I appreciate that nonetheless. Ryan Hunter for the Argonauts
Good for
on the
him.
best lineman. And Janarian Grant on Toronto won best special teams. I wasn't
Yeah,
surprised about that either. Uh,
obviously. I think it's
yeah,
clear that he's been the best punt returner in the league for many years. So,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, for both sides in this Grey Cup game, right? But
hmm
yeah, it was, yeah, I'm
So
sure Winnipeg fans were kind of worried about him, doing a punt return touchdown at some point, but he didn't. But uh, yeah, and then to I guess round out like the best, like the Coach of the Year award went to Jathan Moss, which again, not surprised because
hmm
best
good record.
best record in the league and the East, and didn't do much
didn't do much in the
with that.
playoffs, but yeah, it is what it is. I think they only base the awards off the regular season, don't they?
Yeah, usually in most sports leagues they have regular season awards, and they just separate that from the playoffs. And then of course, there's also also I want to also I guess probably a general manager would be for Montreal, and then Amar Doman was
Best owner.
won the Commissioner's Award, right?
Well,
CFL
there's no
Commissioner's
surprise there.
Award.
He deserves it so much. We love him.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
he
very happy
was.
to see that.
Absolutely. Not a problem with that. Best owner the Lions have ever had.
Yeah, and he's
And
only been in here what for like 2, 3 years or so, and
Hmm.
yeah,
I would use this as a good way to transition into talking about the Grey Cup Festival, if you don't mind.
definitely because that was his
yes,
baby and he pulled it off so well.
Oh boy.
yeah.
So shout out to Amar Doman, not just Amar Doman, all the employees who contributed to the production of the Grey Cup Festival, but Amar Doman, like he gets all the profits and he deserves it. Like this was a show for 5 days. Can I go into talking about my experience there?
Go for it.
Yeah, so I was at the festival Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And there's so much to do, all the free stuff. Yeah, we had the free zip line, the drone show on Friday night. I'll delve into that later. But walking around the convention center, they had those two buildings, Canada Place and the convention center. They had a huge family zone in Canada Place. They had all the party zones in the convention center, and they closed off a bunch of roads for all the vendors, food trucks, sponsors, and sponsors were giving out free stuff. When I got there on Friday morning, they had the Calgary Grey Cup breakfast committee, so I got a bunch of free pancakes. I was going in for seconds. That was really fun.
Oh, there
And
you
then
go.
just walking around the area, they were just giving away stuff, and you could see all the CFL fans just come together. This is what's so special about the Grey Cup Festival.
And about
And
the
it was with,
CFL in general.
yes, and the fans, they're all so nice. I mean, we do like to dunk on Winnipeg fans because we don't like them, but they were good people. I was in line and there was a lot of Winnipeg fans, and I was getting to talk to them. I'm saying lightly, I'm like, hey, I don't like your team because of the stuff you've done to us over the years, but they're nice about it.
Yeah, yeah, they understand, like, well, I mean, I guess they have the perspective of like, yeah, we have all the success, but before that, it was like 30 years of no Grey Cup wins and also some really bad years in between, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, they've had their tough moments too. It was a 20 plus year drought, if memory
that drought
serves.
seems
So,
so long ago now. Like, oh
well,
boy,
it's
this.
now a 3 year drought. Mwahaha.
Um, Friday night, you and I, Jacob, we went to the drone show.
That
Um,
was that blew
yeah.
my
We'll put some
mind.
pictures up. We'll put some pictures up in the editing for that.
That was just I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited for stuff because it's like a environmentally friendly, less noisy way to do fireworks.
mhm.
And I don't really like fireworks just because they're noisy and the smoke is really gross after. But like they were we were at where we were at Cole Harbor, right? And
Yes.
then the drones were just kind of sitting there across the water at Stanley Park. And then at 9:30 they lifted up. They flew up. They did a whole bunch of different designs. And I guess we'll show, depends on what pictures we show. But my favorite personally was when they had the Grey Cup trophy. The drones all made the shape of it, and
Ah,
then this is
yeah.
really cool. They had the trophy rotating. It's very simple.
I'm not sure if that's in the chat, but I'll see if we
If
can
we
find
can
it.
find a picture of that, it's
I'll send some
really
videos.
cool. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just mind
One thing
blowing.
I also appreciate that at the beginning they made the logos of all the First Nations
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Yep.
their lands are we were on. So they had the logos of all the CFL teams, the Grey Cup Festival, some tributes to Vancouver and such. It was so cool, honestly. Like the drone shows, the concept of it it feels very silly, but when you watch it, it's just so mesmerizing.
Yeah, and
Um, yeah,
then you
go
went
ahead.
into what was it, the convention center too?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it was the convention center where there was wide stuff in the like a wide field there, and in it there were some uprights, and I gotta ask you, Hammer, has the Los Angeles Chargers asked you to do kicking duties for them, or has any struggling NFL team with a bad kicker ask you to do something? Because you nailed a field goal or two, right, in that situation. So tell us about that.
So yeah, we have
Uh,
two videos. The first one,
yeah,
um,
I'll show
I
that
got
too.
under that. Um, it was good, dead center. So if I showed that video to anybody, any NFL teams, I'm sure half of them need a kicker at this point. Um, they might be willing to give me a tryout. The second video,
Good show.
um, I hit this ball a lot cleaner Like I really got my foot onto it well, but I hit the upright. It was
Yeah,
giving
Oh,
me
yeah,
shades of Sean White a couple weeks ago, but I didn't know what to expect from kicking a
or
field
Cody
goal, and
Poggy.
and I honestly don't know. I never knew how hard it was. Like some of the guys working there were saying, next time you trash talk a kicker, do this. And I've played soccer in the past, so I do know how to kick a ball, but there were some people who were brutally failing at it. So it
oh no.
it puts into perspective the job a kicker has, but also like they practice a million times, so they should make their
That's
kicks.
their job, right? They're
Yeah,
kickers.
it was
Yeah,
fun.
I think
Glad I got
yeah
a
there was
good kick.
yeah even in the even in the mention of the Grey Cup game there was I forgot what the sponsor was, but there was a dude that was kicking wanting to kick field goal for money, right, prize money. It was only,
Mm,
I think it was 35,000 or something, but yeah, he missed on the first two tries, but then he nailed it in the third one, right? But it kind of cleared the underbar, right? So yeah. I do kind of miss those intermission commercial breakout or intermission kind of field goal tries, like take it from the 30, 40, or 50, and then if you score a
Oh,
field
that's
goal
the
from the
Wendy's kick for a million
yeah,
contest.
Wendy's kick for a million. I
That
missed
was a
that.
great one too, yeah.
Yeah.
score a goal, win a car, and I've seen teams do that.
Uh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean if you yeah, if you practiced a lot and the Wendy's field goal thing was still going on, I think you probably would have given a decent chance to get on there, right?
Maybe,
Um,
yeah. Um, there's one last thing we could talk about in terms of festivities. It's the actual game itself, and there's a lot of things I want to point to here. So when I was doing my shout outs, and I said not specifically to Mar Doman, but also like shout out to all the employees everywhere, volunteers. I do know
hmm,
somebody who I worked in a group project with at Douglas College who's actually a chef at BC Place. And
Oh, isn't
the
that
chefs at
cool?
BC
yeah.
Place, they were putting in 15-hour shifts the last couple days. They had so much food to prepare, and it showed because they had a lot of cool new food items. We could put this up on screen. I got a donut burger, two patties,
Which,
bunch of
which,
bacon, two
yeah,
donuts.
when you sent that to me, I think it was in a text, because
I straight up
unfortunately,
didn't believe it first. I thought
yeah,
you just did something with it. You just made it yourself. I'm like, okay, maybe not what I would do, but good for you.
I
Right?
said that was carnival food, right? It was more
Yeah,
carnival food than an arena, right? But again, I do yeah, I did that with text because unfortunately I couldn't get any kind of Wi-Fi up in the 400, which is
oh,
where
connection was horrible.
me yeah, which is where me and JS were at. I was at section
Yeah,
414, not 214 this time, but 414, and yeah, I was crazy. I was just two tiers above 214, and yeah, they were really good seats. I mean, I took like every second of the game in that location because I knew that man, I don't think those well I don't think those the 400s are going to be topped off as much next year as they were in previous years, right? But yeah, when I'm up there, it was really good view of the game, and yeah, and then unfortunately I didn't get any kind of Wi-Fi at all, so I had to just do texting to you two
huh?
guys, right? But we made it work, right? It was
We did.
We did.
I'll probably even show some screenshots of our messaging too, right? Just when we get to the recap part of the
Now that will be
video, but
fun.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
and anyways,
can I point to one more thing? I want to
yes,
shout out all the great costumes the fans of the CFL were wearing.
yeah.
Especially one guy in front of me who dressed up as a blind ref. He had those blind glasses, he had the referee costume, and he had Mickey Mouse hands, Mickey Mouse gloves. It
Oh,
was
that is hilarious.
amazing. But then there was also other people, like they dressed up as like uprights, football fields, footballs, and then just the fans of every team. I know Riders fans, they dress up well.
Yeah,
I could point to so many of them. Yeah.
I
It was
saw a
crazy.
person in a like a plane, but just a plane
Oh, the
around the
bomber.
waist. Yeah, the Blue Bombers fan. There was a plane around the waist. I went, yeah. It felt like Halloween never ended for these people, and it just kept going right until today, right?
It was crazy. I did the fan march from the festival to the stadium, down Howe Street and then down Rob Street, we're all ringing our bells and clapping and cheering, and there were so many different fan costumes. My favorite was some lady and her sister or something, I don't know, made a life-size Lego minifigure version of Matt Dunnigan wearing wearing a jersey which was half Winnipeg and half Toronto.
I think I did see
That,
that in a picture. That was
that's
so
all I
cool.
have to say. It was
Biggest Matt
wild.
Dunnigan fan, yes. uh,
Crazy.
yeah, that
Just
was
yeah,
yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I don't think I'd know how to react if I ever saw that something like that happen for any one of us, right? Or just a Lego sized us. I would um yeah, it was just and it wasn't just the fact that all the fans across the league came out. I mean, quite a few of the fans from all the fan bases. I mean, they were decked out in like their normal gear. Well, not just their normal gear, but like just their extra gear, right? Like like the Lions
Suits.
fans with the little wigs, and they bring drums too, right? And just uh
Oh yeah.
yeah.
CFL fans do it right. The atmosphere was incredible. I don't know how much talking can do about this, but it was loud. And it was definitely one of the best, maybe the best sporting event I've ever been to. It was special.
definitely.
Yeah, when it's a championship game, I mean, I like the state when it's state Ohio, it's just but it's meeting the moment really with how everybody came around and just to see the game, right? And I'm all the more glad that I was able to go to this game when I didn't think I would be, like what, 2 months ago. uh, like I thought after the touchdown Pacific game that would be just my one and only one, but yeah, that was. Yeah, I was glad I was able to go, do one last game with the three of us there, and of course we got the picture. Uh,
Oh yeah, I'm glad I was able to meet you all. I was saying before the game and also to Jacob on Friday, I'm like, I know there's a lot of factors. It's gonna be busy as hell. We got our families. But we were able to make it work. We were able to meet each other before the game, just briefly, as the three of us, but I was able to stick around with you, Ascent, for a little bit. So that was really
mhm.
cool. We don't
Yeah,
get to do that very often. So
it was nice. It was nice they were able to pull that off. So there we go.
Yeah, lot of things you're able to pull off despite the hurdles and stuff like that. But yeah, and I guess I do want to shout out before we get into a little bit of Lions talk before we get into the game. I do also want to shout out one of our fans who's been commenting in the video sometimes,
oh,
Hubert.
Yes,
Yeah, he like this happened after the game. I was waiting. I mean, I was waiting for the rain to go away, and then I just wanted to go straight home. But as I got to um commercial Broadway station, as I was getting out and into the elevator, uh, I, you know, Cuban and I were like passing by each other, and he said, "Oh, hey, Ascent, I know you. You're from the podcast."
there
I
you
went,
go.
that's
That's
just
insane.
wild.
like I whipped my heart, I whipped my head around like so fast, like wait, what? I and then he said, we talked for a bit, and then yeah,
That is
and I don't
just
remember like word for word what we talked about, right? But I do know that, yeah, me and my dad were just smiling about that after we finished talking. Like it was like, oh my goodness, it's like I didn't think that. Again, this is like on the level of the Lion subscribing to us with like a viewer of the podcast that knows who I am and wanted to say hi to me, and I thought that was awesome. So thank you, Hubert. You you provided like one last bit of awesomeness to an already awesome day, right? And that was
there you go.
that made
Oh yeah, Hubert, you're amazing. All the progress we've made throughout this season. It's so cool. I can't believe that's happened so quickly. Um,
yeah.
We're
yeah,
looking
I
forward to what happens in the future.
yes.
Yeah, maybe
Definitely.
like maybe we'll get like maybe you two will get some, you know, they like, hey, I know you on the podcast moment, right?
Hey, I go to a lot of games. We'll see what
There you
happens.
go.
Yeah, it'll be yeah, I thought that was really cool. So yeah, thanks, Hubert, again. We'll just say that. So uh yeah, I guess now we're going to be moving on to a little bit of Lions talk for
Lions talk.
Lions talk. Probably not for the last time like this year, but certainly this is
Yeah,
uh I I
the
I
news.
I, I I wanted to do this kind of like last minute because like the article really goes into like this is from Bob Marjanovich, who is the I believe the radio commentary the radio play-by-play guy on the my the Lions radio, and of course I met him in doing the on tap recording sessions as well twice. So I thought this is even more of a reason to be talking about this. But oh, you wanted to say something, Amber, too?
Well, I just want to say this news. It's not confirmed, but it feels confirmed. With all the rumors going around, not the roster changes, but the organizational changes for the BC Lions. So yeah, we can get into that. Um,
Yeah. So well, according to Mo issue, uh, it was at the CFL Commissioners Award. It was kind of just amalgam and for all the pomp and circumstance about the awards. I mean, it was kind of just being a little bit caged when it comes to talking about the uh, management
Rick,
side of things and the
Rick
uh,
Campbell.
with Campbell and yeah, didn't exactly give yeah, I said didn't exactly give Campbell a vote of confidence, right?
I'm
So
gonna try and find a Rick Dollywall tweet here, but I remember him saying earlier on that Rick Campbell's been linked to Edmonton, and Moj confirmed this in the article. Um, there were some promotions going around the BC Lions organization. Well, let me find the tweet here.
yeah. There was a pretty big rumor that um let me see here was about
Expect big changes with the Lions early next week. Rick Maiden could end up as the new GM. Major moves within the coaching staff. Lots of Rick Campbell to Edmonton rumors. Also, my dad pointed out this, but there was a Vancouver Sun article that might have jumped the gun, saying that Rick Campbell would be going to Edmonton. I don't know if they worded it wrong based on what information we have, but there's a lot of rumor going around. So
Guess we'll just
I
have to
don't
wait and
expect,
see.
yeah, I don't expect Rick Campbell to be our coach next year.
or
I don't
even
know.
Jordan Missimic, right? Because there was also,
Yeah,
offensive coordinator Jordan Missimic was also, Mose says don't be shocked to see him follow Rick Campbell across to Edmonton too. But yeah, but there's a lot of management turnover usually when it comes to coordinators. So I'm not as uh, well, yeah,
if there
uh,
was one thing I want next year is a bit of a change in the defensive coordinator, or not just the coordinator, just the strategy. No zone defense, but
well, at
also,
least you had a strategy. I mean, there were good things about
Sure.
the defense in the wins. I mean, you can say that for sure. But yeah, just when they
Just more
lost, it was
consistency is what
usually
we need.
just more
yeah,
consistency. Yeah, I know.
And the run defense
Ryan
has to give it
Phillips is
was
like a legend
terrible.
here, but yeah,
you
uh,
pointed to consistency. I feel like consistency on offense will be needed, and that might mean a consistent number one quarterback, whether that be probably Rourke and Adams going out the door. Um, so that the
Which is
offense will be a bit.
unfortunate, but
It is.
it is what it is, you know.
It will be a
York
bit
is
of a
here, so
restructuring.
I wish him the best, you know. Never been a
y-
fan of him, but I wish him the best now that he's here, and hopefully he can, learn from his mistakes in the last couple of years. And, he's not going to the
yeah,
NFL with how this year went, so he's here with
no.
us, and let's make it work.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Jaguars. Well, they're
Oh,
pretty. Boy, I mean, I am so glad not to see work on that team now. I just they made so many poor decisions. Right, but
they're
yeah,
brutal.
yeah, just anyways, yeah, and then in this, well, yeah, this Mojo article in the Nanaimo News Bulletin, right? So that's closer to home for UJ. That's a little bit.
The island.
Um, yeah, it's just if the rumor turns out to be true that um that Rick Campbell is going to be leaving for Edmonton, then there could be a multitude of coaching names that comes up, but some he mentions Paul Lapolis and Orlando Steinauer as possible replacements, and I actually, if I was like to choose between the two, I'd probably go with Steinauer over Paul Lapalisse because yeah, I feel a little more confident with Steinauer as head coach than Lapalisse, but again, we'll just see if whatever the head coach comes up, right? Just will it'll be like definitely a lot more of a very different feeling next season, and I really won't. I don't think we might not know how to rank where the Lions are going to be at until we'll probably say like the monthly episode before the season starts. That's when we'll do it. Right, that's
Yeah.
when we'll do our season predictions and everything. Right, just when everything's all settled and
Predictions that I will inevitably get wrong.
yeah. I was almost right for most of the year, and then just shenanigans happened.
Yeah.
So yeah,
One more
that's
one more
yeah,
thing
just
before
one more
statistics.
thing.
We'll also mention that Mojo article. We could see a press conference this week about the coaching changes. Um, but I mean, Doman was never going to announce anything before the Grey Cup. This was
Of course
his
not.
thing, and he's clearly succeeded on that. Like
Hmm.
52,000 people, he must be rolling in millions of
That's
dollars.
incredible. Like
So
I know he
Hmm.
said apparently it would take 10 years to make this team profitable, and this is his, I think, third year now owning the team. It feels like he's been around forever, but props to him for all the amazing efforts he's put in to this organization. I hope
Yeah,
that,
not just the organization, but the grassroots movements as well in
all of
university
that.
football and high school. And
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
we're really lucky to have him, and we
yeah,
want him
like
on the show one day. And if we
he was.
do, we'll give him. I will literally give a man I've never met a big hug if it's him.
I was gonna say he was instrumental in being one of the frontline voices to save the SFU football team, but unfortunately uh, uh, didn't go the way they wanted it to. But yeah, when he came out to say like we need to keep grassroots football in Canada alive as much as we can, right? Or just add a just to keep Canadian talent coming, right? That was important to hear, right? There was um yeah, and just the continued existence of Canadian football players would mean that it would be more most MOCs or most valuable Canadians kind of awards, and that's that kind of thing.
oh yeah,
uh
we need to keep that coming.
yep. Hey,
Um,
it's a patriotic duty, just keep it going. So yeah, I'm just
move on to
scrolling.
statistics.
Yeah, I'm just getting to that now. I kind of lost myself a little bit in the list, but yeah. So yeah, we've done our pregame stuff and just talking about things happening outside of the actual Grey Cup game itself. But we're
The
gonna
fun
get right
stuff.
to the fun stuff. This was a really fun game, but
Yeah.
yeah, uh, like when I was like I put down the statistics just 2 hours ago, right? Like after I watched through the game again on the TV, just to take down the recap notes, and on a glance from what I noticed from the stats for both teams is that, like I said earlier in the episode, I said that I noticed that all of the award like the award winners for Winnipeg and Toronto, again, they didn't do much this game. This was a complete team effort win for Toronto. Right? It was and their stats kind of proved. There wasn't anything that really jumped out at me. There was no 100-yard games or on rushing or receiving. It was just it was
Team
all
efforts.
yeah, it was all mostly, I want to say, like the highest yardage was for receiving was 45. It was Brissett, and he ended up being named the most valuable Canadian, barely, right?
Hmm.
Because he had the most yards, like barely. He had four more yards than the command, right? And he got a touchdown, right? But
Yeah,
anyways, yeah.
deserving.
Uh, so yeah. So and speaking of awards, so for the MVP of the Grey Cup, which is Nick Arbuckle, and Gee, if I had a nickel for every time a quarterback named Nick on an underdog team playing a dynasty or, and somewhere close to like an invincible team, the playoff, then, secured an upset win, I'd have two nickels for Nick Foles.
Nick Foles, nice one.
Yeah. But in this case, well, the circumstances for Nick Arbuckle was a little different. I mean, he was making his first start of the season, like in here in the Grey Cup, right? I mean, he came in for relief in the Eastern Conference Final, and just barely made Toronto win. But I mean, he was a little more assertive in this game the whole time. But yeah. So yeah, Nick Arbuckle went 26 for 37 for 252 yards, two touchdowns, and two interceptions. 6.8 average per throw, and his longest throw was 36. And he had two carries and 11 rushing yards. So he's traditional pocket passer quarterback, but whenever he had to move, I mean, he did have one really nice run to convert for a first down, right? But yeah, he was in full. He was in full. I'd say game manager mode. I mean, yeah, 250 plus yards is more like an average
Yeah.
quarterback.
Also want to point out the
That's
fact that throughout the game, it looked like he gained a lot more confidence. In the first quarter, he wasn't that great. I know he was throwing a lot to the side, and my dad and I were saying, like, this guy looks like a third string quarterback. But when he started passing up the middle in the second, third, fourth quarters, he was throwing dimes. So he played a lot better with a change of game plan, and as the game progressed, I think he gained a lot of confidence.
He threaded the needle a whole bunch of times. There were a number of passes that were almost picked off, but he made the
almost,
plays that he needed
yeah.
to, and got the win. So full marks to him. Second Grey Cup in a row for Toronto that they had an unexpected quarterback change last minute that led them to a win. So
Hmm.
very impressive.
So that's got to be the Grey Cup strategy then for every team going in, right? Just change your
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
There you go.
Like, hey, you got a hot quarterback? Nope, start your backup. You're gonna win. uh,
Brilliant
yeah,
strategy.
brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, and then running back, Kadeem Carey had 15 carries for 79 yards, one touchdown, and then 5.3 yards on average for running. His longest one was 18. And then he added three catches and three targets for 10 yards. So yeah, I think yeah, the touchdown came with that was I think that was either probably in the fourth quarter. A lot of stuff happened in that, but yeah. Uh yeah, and then I mentioned there wasn't really any one particular receiver that stood out here. It was just Arbuckle just spreading the ball around constantly to different receivers, and it just resulted in like a more balanced offensive attack than say just one or two receivers just getting a lot of the attention, right?
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I'm going to start out with the most valuable Canadian, Dijon Brissett, three catches and five targets for 45 yards. A touchdown, 15 yards is his average, and 17 was his longest catch. So yeah, yeah, and I found it funny that of course, BC lost to Toronto in the first. Well, they got swept by Toronto, but again, we lost them the first game of the season, and then lo and behold, like, and I know that Brissett was pretty good against us in that first game too, right? So just comes back to bite us here, but at least it's Winnipeg that's the victims, not us.
Yes.
Uh, Mattel had two catches on two targets for 23 yards, one touchdown, 11.5 average, and 17 was the longest. Then Polk had four catches, six targets, 42 yards, no touchdowns. Yeah, everybody else on the receiving core just didn't have a touchdown, but they had decent yardage total. So yeah, Polk had 10.5 average, and his longest was 15. Daniels had three catches for six targets for 37 yards, 12.3 average, and his longest was 14. McMahon had two for two for 41 yards, 20.5 average, and 29 was his longest. And then I love these surnames that have like the third or the fourth at the end of them, like Unger the third here. Uh, he had and we had Arlen Brewster the third as well. So like years ago, but yeah. So Ungo the third had 4 catches on 6 targets for 29 yards, 7.3 average, and 15 was his longest. And then Coxie, 3 catches on 5 targets for 29 yards, 9.7 average, and his longest catch was 36. So yeah, it was yeah. It's on any I guess normal kind of game like this kind of offense would probably lose at least 6 out of 10 games, right?
Yeah.
Usually. But we're gonna get to, I think, you know, I really think that the MVP should have been the entire Toronto defense. Like
hmm
they just
They
shut Winnipeg down like no tomorrow. Right?
they won the game in the fourth quarter. Like if they didn't have to give the MVP to one player, they would have given it to them because they were just
The entire defensive unit of Toronto,
stunning.
yeah.
I've
I
never
also
seen
remember
anything like it.
halftime it was 10-9 for Winnipeg.
I believe it was, yeah.
And I was saying like to both of you, I think Winnipeg should be up by more. And I consciously realized, no, Toronto's defense has been pretty good. So
And yeah,
Yeah, my dad mentioned that to me too, where he said like Winnipeg should be doing a lot more than this. Like what's going on here, right? Uh, I mean, it really goes to show you like the reputation that Winnipeg has had, where um, even in like the fourth quarter when, well, I mean, I guess I'll skip ahead a little bit, but when it was 27-16, I was still worried that Winnipeg was still going to be able to mount a comeback somehow, right?
the
Right, I
magic.
was yeah, it was like the reputation of Winnipeg just pulling out wins just out of their butts, right? It's just like even at that point, I went, okay, how would it?
but
But
also finding insane ways to lose in the Grey Cup as they've done 3 years in a row
insanely,
now.
yeah, losing the Grey Cup, and there were also a few games they lost, certainly this season and in years past, where I think about last year when Winnipeg played on the road against Ottawa, and then Crum led that comeback, right?
Yeah, I,
Oh
I
yeah.
just think it's notable that the defense for Toronto played so the favorite at the start of the game. The Blue Bombers were favored by 9.5 points,
Yeah.
and Toronto ended up winning by 17. So like the defense just stood tall and got the job done. And anybody
Yeah, the
who
defense was like responsible for just a complete score reversal for one from what I predicted, right?
Oh yeah. Anybody
Like, oh,
anybody who picked the Toronto to win by that much can now enjoy their retirement based on those odds.
yeah. I, if I was a betting man, I'd be just be doing that. But yeah. So, anyways, yeah, Toronto defense should get like S+ marks if it was possible, right? Just S+
Yep.
marks. Well, I mean, they only got 1 sack for Robbie Smith, but the damage here is that they got 4 interceptions and a pick six out of this. So, yeah, so 1 sack by Robbie Smith and then 4 interceptions by Amos, McManus, Franklin, and Priester was the one with the pick six. And I called out in that moment. That's the Tracy Porter moment for the Argos, right? Because
Tracy
Tracy
Porter.
Porter on the Saints, right? I mean, well, with circumstances and that Saints Super Bowl win and this Argos Grey Cup win were different, but I still think that that was just like in both cases that pick six was just the dagger, right, into the hearts of an offensive firepower team,
Yeah.
right?
The crowd knew it. We knew it.
We knew it. And I said, and I'm putting this in the title: the reign of terror is over.
Yes.
That's just yeah, so good.
Yeah, the reign. We hope because you know, I'm 6 straight Grey Cup appearances would be ridiculous, right? But let someone else have a turn, Winnipeg, please.
Well, they're hosting it next year, so wouldn't it be a you wouldn't you can just feel the storylines coming out. They've lost the Grey Cup 3 years and now they're hosting it. You can just feel the storylines now. They can't possibly lose 4 in a row, can they?
We want to play spoiler to that.
You
We
We
know,
do,
want them
yeah.
to miss it.
if we want it to be the best outcome next year, let's have the Lions be the Eastern Division champions.
Oh, the God,
Go
the
to the Grey Cup to
crossover,
beat
yeah.
Winnipeg in their own barn for the Grey Cup. Wouldn't that just be mwah?
Yeah.
That would just be
Can
beautiful.
already. Is it June
That's
yet?
it. Is yeah, we're in the junior mode in November.
I
And
know.
if I put money on that outcome right now and that actually happened, I could do more than retire. All three of us could retire on those winnings.
Yeah, I could.
Hey, I'll be sports betting age by then.
But the good news is
Just-
I don't bet anymore because I never put any of my own money into it and I just don't want to lose money. So
Yeah,
no, I only
rational
it's
put like
just for
thinking.
fun.
I only put like $5 or $10 in something, right? Not like life savings worth, like some people do. But oh yeah.
No,
Anyways, yeah. So Toronto defense, yeah, one sack, four interceptions, zero fumbles, zero turnover on downs, which I was surprised that there was like no fumbles or turnover on downs in this game. And then McManus had six tackles, and then the rest of the team with less than three. So yeah, the defense made their damage with like all the interceptions, pretty much, right? Not like 90% of the damage in the game. Uh, and of course, the other 10% being two and outs constantly, right? Uh, and then for special teams, I also want to give a shout out to Liam Haulahu, who went 4 for 4 on field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points, and as long as field goal was 45. But that long field goal was the first field goal kick he got after after some time, right? He got injured from his own lineman like backing up into him and then crushing his ankle a little, and it really hurt him, right? And he was limping a lot, but he was still remained perfect, right? Even with a bum leg for 80% of the game, right? That
I
was
also want to say that my party, which was just my dad and my uncle, they love his name. Or Harlahu. It's pretty funny.
there you go.
yeah. I think yeah, JS, you mentioned that in one of our previous episodes that you like his name a lot too, right? It was
It's
uh
always a mouthful, but that's okay. We judge him by his play on the field, and I'm very impressed that he kept playing through that injury. And
Yes.
I certainly couldn't. If I had my leg like that, I'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I would just
um
refuse to walk.
yeah, you'd
But
be in
it's the
my
Grey
shoes
Cup.
for yeah. uh Yeah, and then Haggerty for punting, he had only had 5 punts in the game, averaging 54.8 yards. Didn't really, yeah. Well, one of the punts was hard enough to cause a fumble, sort of, but that was that was an important. Like even Haggerty got into the important part of the game too, but yeah, and then Grant for kick return stats. He only had 5 return catches on special teams. He had 4 punt returns for 33 yards, and one kickoff return for 25 for a total of 58 yards, and averaging 8.3 for punt return. So the
Surprising.
that's the Terry Williams thing, right?
Yeah.
Stats where you wouldn't expect it, right?
I
Uh,
expected some big runs out of him, but like the Terry Williams, like he was getting caught after 5 yards. Like catch the ball, swarmed.
both special teams units when it comes to kickoff return and punt returns. I mean, they were mostly good, but yeah, um, yeah. I guess then we'll get into the Winnipeg stats too, and there's going to be some stats that are going to shock you here too.
Yeah.
Trust me.
So
Uh,
I don't know what order we want to do this, but I want to talk about Zach Collaros.
Go for
So
it. Talk about him first. He's kind of the story here.
he's the story. So Zach
mhm.
Collaros, I'll talk about his stats first. So he went 15 for 30 for 202
fifty
yards,
percent completion
Which
rate.
is
Yeah,
very not
50%
good.
completion. Yeah, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions, averaging 6.7 for a throw. Longest being 49 came in the first half. I want to point out a tweet here from Milt Stegall. And I also want to shout out Milt Stegall because there was this video going around. He did the 40-yard dash in 4.8 seconds in a full
Wow.
suit.
Good
in a
for
Um,
full
him.
suit. And how
in
old
a
is he?
full
Like
suit and
48
pants.
or 50 or so? Gotta
Yeah.
be in his 50s by now. I just
So if you guys check out CFO Instagram or whatever, that's a pretty funny video. But he tweeted 3 straight Grey Cups without a touchdown pass for Zach Collaros, and he had a total of 9 interceptions in these past 3 Grey Cups. That's bad. And it really tracks. I think the Bombers live and die with him, and at every time, every Grey Cup we come to think, is Collaros washed? And he kind of makes a comeback throughout the regular season. But this was a bad Grey Cup for him. 4
Yeah,
interceptions, and
it just feels like with Caleros lately now, it's been just, the team looks really awesome in stretches of the regular season. I mean, especially this year when they came back from being 0-4, what, like 11-6, or
yeah,
like they had an insane amount of winning going that was just making us so frustrated, right? And just go, why won't you die thing, right? And yeah, and then it continued against Saskatchewan, and then Saskatchewan was like the recent victims of the Princess Auto Stadium curse,
mm,
sort of, right? There's one thing that Riders and Lions fans can unite on, is that we hate that playing in that stadium in the playoffs now, right?
yes.
Uh,
Um,
but yeah, and then yeah, these past three Grey Cups, I mean, two of them have been close losses, yes, and this one was just, I was probably his worst one of the three losses, right? Um,
I forgot to
yeah,
point out this, but before I move on, Colaros actually exited the game for a drive because he injured his finger. He cut his finger,
index
but for
finger, yeah,
quarterback, that's pretty bad. So he was
Yeah.
forced to
on
wear
his
a
It was
throwing
glove.
someone. It
hand,
was yeah,
Yeah,
that's why it was
yeah,
a problem. I wondered
and
where I was because he just disappeared, and obviously I wasn't following Twitter that closely,
mm,
so it was a surprise of where he was.
yeah.
but that
I,
was
I, I, I thought it was like concussed or something. Like I must have missed something, but no. I watched the recording back, and yeah, it was a busted finger.
it instantly affected them as his first throw back from injury was an interception, and that led to what's a good word for it? The game getting out of hand pretty
A
much in the fourth
meltdown, a
quarter. A
collapse,
meltdown.
a
It was the start
calamity.
of the meltdown. Yes.
Okay, running back, the MOP and MOC, Brady Oliveira, 11 carries for 84 yards with a touchdown, 7.8 average on rushes, and 2 catches on 3 targets for 18 yards. His longest was also 35, so that counts for most of his yards. I did say that he wasn't too noticeable throughout the game, but he averaged 7.6 on average, which kind of speaks to how good he is because I feel like when he played against the Lions, he would average like 20.
Or average 9, and then he would go for 130 yards or something
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, this was more of like be a normal kind of running back kind of game, right? Where I mean, yeah, I'd say well, out of everyone, he gave 100% every time, right? Just as he should.
we
uh,
know how annoying of a player he is.
Annoying, like he's the bad Brady to me. The good Brady is Brady Kachuk for me. The bad Brady, I don't like that Brady. uh, and I'm gonna see him in a bit. Actually, the Canucks, though, right?
Yeah,
uh,
Canucks sends on the 21st of December.
no, no, they're coming up in November too. Just
Oh,
in a
yeah,
few
next
days.
week
Yeah,
of this Saturday, right? Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, go, good Brady. Just go in overtime. Anyways, yeah, yeah. The
Receivers,
receivers, yeah,
more like
those stun me the most, right?
the
Um,
receivers, more like the graveyard. Um, Dembski with 2 catches on 7 targets for 18 yards. Lawler, 2 catches on 7 targets for 27 yards, 13.5 per catch. Wilson, 5 catches on 8 targets for 99 yards, averaging
just one
19.8.
shy of 100. Oh,
With his longest being 49. Oof, he stretched that out a bit more, he would have got 100. Um, Clercius, I'm terrible pronouncing his name at times. He went three for
Celsius.
three for 24 yards, averaging 8. Wheatfall, I'm losing it. 1 for 5 for 16 yards. And on defense, Jacob, you want to continue?
I'll go for it. Sure, the Winnipeg defense is Willie Jefferson had 2 sacks, and he also had two inter. No, sorry. Oh, okay. Jefferson and Bonds each had an interception, but they didn't end up mattering much because of the fourth quarter. Terrell Ford had 6 tackles. Jefferson had 6 tackles. Nick Taylor had 5 tackles. Those are the big highlights on defense. On special teams, Castillo was 3 for 3 for field goals, one for one in
Yeah,
extra
no
points.
missed
So
field goals,
no
no,
miss, no
no,
nothing.
no
Cheyenne
special,
was
no
the
pizza
punter.
coupon.
No pizza
Cheyenne was
coupon.
he was punting 5 punts for 229 yards, 46 yards per punt average, and Lucky Whitehead, or Unlucky Whitehead as I
Oh,
call him, 149 yards on special teams returns, and the fumble, which was incredibly costly on one of the kickoffs. Overall, he had 48 yards on punt returns, 101 yards on kickoff returns. And penalties were Toronto 10 for 83 yards, Winnipeg 5 for 28. One of those 10 for Toronto came with that stupid pass interference challenge at the end of the game. And then
Yeah,
Toronto possessed the ball 36-18, Winnipeg's 23-42. So basically, yeah, just just Toronto was better in every way.
yeah. Even with the penalties, I mean, it would like what Winnipeg. Well, I watched through the broadcast, right, and they were saying a couple times over the game, Winnipeg was the least penalized team in the playoffs. But I'd say that, yeah, 2 of the 5 penalties for Winnipeg were definitely like so major in its and how the game came out to be, right? Like, and we'll get into that in the recap too, right? It was just like even when they're the least penalized team in the league, like the timing of the penalties were fatal pretty much in the grand scheme of things, right? And then
Yes.
yeah, and then yeah, time of possession, yeah, that is just that is so bizarre for me to see being just being used to seeing Winnipeg on the other side of that, right? Like dominating time of possession, like they did in our shutout, in the shutout against us, right? In the summer, that
Mhm.
was yeah. Now the shoes on the other foot, right? And it's just I'm yeah, this was just pure team win for Toronto, and then we're getting that team win with the final recap of the season, and
Final game
yeah.
recap.
There we go.
Goodbye, CFL. Sad.
Sad, yeah, I really wanted to be, yeah, I really, if I had a wish, I'd be like, oh, make the CFL like all year, but then the CFLPA would probably get after me on that, and then then no, we got to keep it to 5 months of the year. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so let's get into the Grey Cup game that we were all 3 of us were in person to watch, and it was fun. And I put here Winnipeg is looking to make 3 Grey Cup championships in 5 seasons. But 5th straight Grey Cup, and they're trying to make it 3 and 5 to be a dynasty here. And Toronto is looking to win 8 straight Grey Cup appearances. Like this was dating back to '91, right? Like well, now it's real, right? Like they won 8 straight Grey Cups when they're appearing in them, right? So they're unbeatable. uh, and of course, win 2 out of their last 3 Grey Cup appearances, right? So now they're on track to look like a dynasty with backup quarterbacks somehow. Uh, I did, yeah. Me and Hammer were talking a little bit about this. Now I look back on it, it's kind of funny, but they were doing the coin flip, right? It was a Royal Air Force kind of a special coin, right? But when Ben Major, the referee, like gave it to the Coinbase CEO, he just immediately flipped it. It was a
Forgot to
premature
check
coin
the
flip.
call. That was so funny.
Yeah, and then Ben Major picks it up and just does like a jazz hands pose,
Ben Major's
right?
the best.
He's awesome. Hope we
Just
get to see
smiling.
more of him in future Grey Cups.
Yeah, that's his first Grey Cup too, right? So refereeing.
First
So
Grey
yeah,
Cup as head referee, yeah.
yeah, obviously the CFL, saw what he was doing. Like, he got a lot of headlines for just the funny calls and just the showmanship of the refereeing, like Wes McCauley did for hockey, right? Just yeah. So that was a funny moment for the coin toss, right? But it ended up being tails. So when Winnipeg won the toss, but they decided to receive the ball first. But uh, yeah, and I also put the crowd feels like it has like a heavy Winnipeg slant to it. Like there weren't as many Toronto fans, making the Toronto fans that were there, they were making like a lot of noise, but it was just overshadowed by more Winnipeg fans coming in. All right, I'd say
Sorry, I just saw a tweet that said Ben Major is the all-time Grey Cup leader in blocked coin tosses.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
that's a good one,
Yeah,
man.
I can't keep going. I just
Yeah,
searched Ben Major on Twitter while you were t talking about that.
That's
So
funny.
yeah. So blocked blocked coin tosses, and now calling just a scoreboard punch, right? Just the
Yes.
weirdest thing that will happen to a referee, right? That no, that will
Oh, what
happen
a
like once in
guy.
a blue moon, but no, not with him. No, chaos happens to him all the time in games. It's just, uh, yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
Winnipeg gets the ball to start the game. So Whitehead returns it to the 36, and then yeah, Winnipeg gets called for procedure on the first play of the game. So it was like the first penalty of the five they would end up taking. Right. So I was no, it wasn't like indicative of how the game was going to go for them penalty wise, but yeah, they took a procedure call. Uh, um, yeah, so yeah, it clearly affected them because yeah, they went two and out. Right, there was Colares did go deep for Lalo, but Lalo didn't seem to have the magic today that he had against Saskatchewan, where he was just like all over them, right? The defense, right? Their defense, but yeah, Winnipeg goes two and out, and then Grant returned to punt wide out to the left to the Toronto 53. Then Daniels converts pass for 8. Kelly converts on short yardage, but Jake Thomas, O-line holding, brings them back 10 yards on first down. Um, McMahon converts on a 29-yard gain on 2nd and 17, which I thought that was like one of the best early highlights of the first half. Was a 2nd and 17 where like McMahon
think
like he
it's
had like a really nasty cutback, like he broke the defender's ankles, and he just went for a little more. Right, that
First
that
and
was
goal.
yeah, first and goal. Well, yeah, I got in the red zone, but unfortunately the Argos well, unfortunately for them, the Argos failed to score the touchdown on a short run. Like they were trying to do the whole, when you're on third and one, like close to the first down yard, the first down yard, or the goal line. They tried to do force the other team to go offside on a hard count, but it didn't work. Right? Why would you try that like early in the half? Right? It'd be better suited for you know, in the second half. And I do know that well, but the panel was talking about that moment too. They were saying that they should have gone for it on third and one, right? Like why do that? But
My
yeah, no, it's
party was
only like
thinking that.
it's only like nitpicking, right? Just after the fact, for
My
me.
uncle says that it's no fun in sports when you're not betting on anything. So he bet that the first score by either team would be a touchdown. So we were kind of seething there, hoping that he would run the ball, but he didn't.
Yeah, so the Argos ended up taking like a delay a game. Actually, no, was it a timeout or delay game? I forgot.
I think
Uh,
it was delay a game.
Yeah, yeah, it was a delay game, right? And then they settled for Hau'olahu chip shot field goal, take a 3-0 lead. And
I
then
could have made that.
yep, you could have made that, right? You could have
Yep,
gone in and just done that.
chip shot.
Chip shot, yeah. Starting so yeah, then of course starting from the 40-yard line after a field goal is made as the CFL rule. Lalo for Winnipeg appears to complete a conversion for 20 yards, but then like the video review comes in and says nope, that's incomplete because his left foot was
out of
like
bounds. It was
right
the
on
right
the
call.
stripe.
It was clearly the right call. Good thing they made it.
Yeah, I just wish they could do that more often than just in important stages of a game or something like that. Way, but say la vie. Um, so yeah, incomplete, and then Kalaos throws incomplete again to force another. Like there's two straight two and outs now, which kind of got us looking around, going, okay, the offense a little bit slow right now, but I mean, yeah, we're used to just Winnipeg seeming like they're struggling, and then they just find a way to win somehow. Right? But again, this was like an early indication of how Winnipeg's offense would go a little bit for the two and outs. So yeah, Grant returns the punt to the Toronto 25, and then in the break of action, I thought it was nice to see a video package for Randy Ambrosi because that was his last game as the CFL commissioner, and then yeah, it was there was a lot of rounds of applause for him. I mean, I will say this that for as much criticism that we have for him in terms of Like remember the chip incident for the football, right? And um how much of a stink that got for just kickers like speaking out against it, and then just and then of course also not being able to get a team in Atlantic Canada, but he did make efforts to like save the CFL from the COVID shutdown, right? Like that was
Yeah.
what I was worried about the most when COVID came around. That the CFL was not in a position to be continue like really like if they were going to continue operations, it would be like by the skin of their teeth, really. And he pulled it off, and I give props to him for doing that. And clearly, it's the CFL as a product has gotten better in terms of perception in these latest few years than a lot of the time before that, right? But uh, yeah, after the break in the action, Polk makes a tough catch from being hit really hard to barely convert on a 2nd and 5. And then Coxie gets tackled for a loss of 7, and this time, and Toronto got back to 2nd and 17 again, but this time they couldn't do a crazy convert like the one they did on their last drive. So it was another punt to Whitehead, and then I put on Ontario Wilson, not Ontario Wilson. It's not Toronto. Ontario Wilson hauls in a deep throw from Colares to Toronto 16 for 49 yards. And Oliver then converts on short yardage to, get to within the 1 yard line. And then Winnipeg basically finish, finishes the drive with an easy looking touchdown drive. As Wilson, the backup quarterback Wilson, he's different kind of Wilson. Like Garrett Wilson, I believe he spun around the offensive line just to score the touchdown, which that looked cool. Even if it looked like an easy touchdown, but then they took the lead 7-3, and then with the extra point being good, and then I rolled my eyes, seeing I go, okay, here we go. This is what
Yeah,
Winnipeg's gonna look like, right?
I was thinking like, is it where it gonna begins? Is this where it's gonna begin? The Winnipeg reign of terror. So
Yeah, but as the rest of the game will tell us, like that's not the case. But it starts with Toronto getting the benefit of an illegal kickoff out of bounds, which puts them at the 50-yard line, like instant great field position for Toronto. And then on the
I
final
almost
play,
wonder if they did that on purpose because they were afraid of the kick returner. Because I know
mm,
back in the day when I used to play Madden football all the time on my Nintendo Wii, Madden Football 12, I
huh,
used to do that a
yeah,
lot when I didn't have a timeout or something, or I didn't want to give up a return. I would just kick it out of bounds on purpose. Better give it up at the 50 than give up a touchdown. So maybe they did it on purpose. I wonder.
well, you want to know what I did in Madden 2003? That's how old I. Well, when I was a kid for Madden 2003, I would always create a player that had 99 stats and everything, and I'd always put them on the Eagles because again, like I just started rooting
There
for the
you
Eagles
go.
team. Like they were Super Bowl contenders at the time, so like I would always either put my created character as a kick returner, like I was my own Grant, right? Like I would put my character as a kick returner just to do all sorts of touchdowns, right? Just to outrun everybody. And if I got scored on, I would just quit because I wanted like a 99-0 shutout or something like. uh, but yeah, but yeah, that might have been like could could be conspiracy theory, like could be an intentional like illegal kickoff, but it's still really good field position for Toronto anyways at the 50. And then on the final play of the first quarter, and then Grant again, and then he catches a high pass on 5 yards on first down. And then in the start of the second quarter on 2nd and 5, Winnipeg forced Arbuckle to throw wide right in a conservative play to make them go 2-and-out. So yeah, 2-and-out here for Toronto. I think very few 2-and-outs for Toronto here, but Whitehead then returns the punt to the Winnipeg 30. Winnipeg. I put immediately after that. Then Winnipeg returns the favor with another 2-and-out of their own on a defended pass from McManus. Oh yeah, Oh, this was reminding me of that damn. I think it was one of the games we recapped. That wasn't a Lions game. There was a bunch of two and outs happening, and then craziness happened in the end of the game. But struggling to remember it. But yeah, there was yeah, Winnipeg got another two and out, and then Grant returned the punt to the Toronto 37 from losing 2 yards, but that failed to catch a sideline throw for another two and out, and then yeah, then Winnipeg. Well, yeah, then on Winnipeg's next possession, just Oliver. I called it breaking the two and out deadlock, pretty much, right? Because it was just a deadlock defensively until Oliveira ran for oh God, Oliveira ran for 20 yards to convert, and then Lawler caught a catch to convert on 2nd and 4 for 22 yards, and then Wilson converts from Clark running to his right on a crossing route for 30 yards, approximately to get in the goal-to-goal range, but then Winnipeg failed to score a touchdown on an incompletion. So yeah, both teams have had moments in the red zone and goal-to-go situations that failed to score a touchdown. So it was on 2nd down that Robbie Smith actually, sacked Claros, right? So they forced Winnipeg to extend the lead on a chip shot field goal by Castillo, sorry, to go up like 10-3. Right, that was a full touchdown lead now. Procedure call on Toronto's first play of the drive started from it started from the 40, so there was a procedure call on the first play of that drive for Toronto, and then I thought this was a really nice catch from Polk too. Like, he didn't have much stats, but he did have a really important catch. Like, he barely caught the ball on his fingertip. Like, it was very close to being an interception, right? He just like caught it in the nick of time for a first down conversion. And um then Coxie catch with like a deep bomb from Arbuckle for 32 yards. Uh to get into the red zone at the 15. And then 3-minute warning happened. And then after the 3-minute warning, Toronto got called offside for a poorly timed play. And then Arbuckle gets sacked for a loss of 10 to force Haulahu to boot a 35-yard field goal to tighten the Bombers' lead to 10-6. And then in the process of that, of course, his own, lineman just fell into him after he kicked a field goal and he got his ankle injured.
Yeah.
Right. From his own blocker. That sucks, right? But yeah, he powered through that. But yeah, any normal man would probably just be wheelchaired or sidelined for the rest of the game. But yeah, he just toughed tough as nails those kickers, right? Like, with mad respect for that. um oh yeah, and then like immediately after the field goal, like, again, Winnipeg started on the 40-yard line. Then Cloud throws deep and gets intercepted by Franklin. Like, Franklin had a great catch to intercept him like immediately, right? That got us up for that, right? That was it's me, and I feel dirty for cheering for Toronto, right? But it was just uh yeah, and then Arbuckle gets the offense rolling by throwing to Bertha, who converts for 13 immediately, and then again on 2nd and 10 for 14. But then Arbuckle throws incomplete to Kelly, but then Winnipeg gets called for illegal contact to extend the drive. And there was a fun moment here that on that drive for Toronto, like I mentioned, has Winnipeg like really gotten a significant penalty yet? And that was like that was pretty
The
much like
moment.
the moment, like that was the Nostradamus moment for me. Like, as soon as that left my lips, Winnipeg got penalized for that. Right, so I'm like, yes. uh yeah, and then Arbuckle makes a nice flick pass to McMahon to convert for 30 yards. So he just flicked it between. But yeah, he flicked it to McMahon, and then he ran like between the tackles, and he ran for 30 yards. But there were holding calls on. Well, yeah, there was a rare kind of penalty where like it was two offensive linemen being called for holding. Right, so you had to like accept one out of two, right? Like, it can't be I'm pretty sure there must be a rule where like you can't accept like more than two penalties unless it's unnecessary roughness or something, right? Um, so yeah, that brought Toronto back to 10 yards, which was key as Toronto failed to convert on a first down to force them or to force Haralahu now on his bum leg to boot a 45-yard field goal to tighten the Winnipeg lead to 10-9. And then it was like 16 seconds left in the quarter, and then Winnipeg just decided to do like a I call it like a victory formation kind of thing, but it was more like a let's go into halftime with a lead formation. Uh, and I said, they let it roll out to end an unexpectedly tight first half into the Jonas Brothers halftime show. Right? It was just,
Which was a great halftime show, by the way.
yeah, I'm no Jonas Brothers fan, and neither was my dad, but we enjoyed it for what it was, right? It was even if it's not our kind of music, right? It's
Mhm.
just
I'd actually never heard of the Jonas Brothers before they were announced as the halftime show, but I definitely heard of their songs while listening to
yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, you had to be in high school in 2010 to really know the Jonas Brothers,
Mhm.
right? And yeah, uh, I heard Jonas Brothers like so much on the pop radio station, like
Oh,
I
really?
think it was yeah, definitely Jack FM 96.9. I remember hearing Jonas Brothers all the time on that radio, right? It was just uh, like pretty much. Yeah, and then I looked around at the crowd, and I could tell it was mostly, women around my age who like in their early 30s, right? Just probably people who were fans of them in their rise to stardom. Right? I mean, they're still, very recognizable band, right? But you know, the generations of now have moved on to like other artists, right? Like it's usually just uh there's every generation has their definitive pop music bands, right, or boy bands, and I guess I'll call this generation would probably be like BTS or something like for K-pop, right, and certainly um yeah, and then yeah, pretty good halftime show for what it was. I mean, well, the light show was a bit too much because like it was constantly like shining in my eyes, right? And I am so glad I'm not epileptic, right? Because
Yeah, it was.
yeah, it was just flashing in my eyes like the white lights, especially were just like it caused me to just shun it for a bit, right? And, uh, it was yeah
It was entertaining. Yeah.
entertaining, right? And then from the broadcast, because obviously I couldn't look it up while I was at the game, but on the broadcast I put the halftime stats here. So for first downs, it was 9-6 in favor of the Argos. Passing yards was 146 to 114 in favor of the Argos. Rushing yards was 40 to 35 in favor of the Blue Bombers. So it's like a very tiny difference. And then net yards 171 to 148 for the Argos. And then the Blue Bombers with like the one turnover. Uh yeah, I think so. And then time of possession was 16 minutes and 28 seconds to 13:32 for the Argos. So they had 3 minutes more of time of possession for that. So I just wanted to put that in there just to really emphasize like how tight this game was, like, really for most of the game. And again, it's going to continue in the third quarter because after the halftime show, Grant returns the kickoff to the Toronto 42. Arbuckle takes the broken play and then he rushes for five to convert on second down. I like that play too, where just like, it looked like a weird play, like it, like the rusher was like behind him and it looked confused, but then it was like calculated confusion, right? And he just like ran forward for five, but then they end up failing to convert from center field on an incomplete pass, and then um yeah, then the punter for Toronto just punts in a rouge to tie the game at 10. And it was at that point I said to my dad too, going like, okay, maybe we might have a walk-off rouge situation, maybe.
I was thinking about that. We're like, oh, one
Yeah,
point has decided the Grey Cup. as in, 2021, where where Hamilton conceded a Rouge, and um, yeah,
It can happen.
it
Yeah,
could
that
happen.
yeah, I wanted that to happen so badly, like a walk-off Rouge to win the Grey Cup, but alas, we'll have to wait until next year to see it happen. Uh, um, but yeah, so yeah, Toronto gets a Rouge to tie the game, and then on Winnipeg's first drive of the second half, Claros passed on a dump to the middle is incomplete, but yeah, it was a 2-and-out, right? So two and out for Winnipeg to start in this half two, right? So that's like twice now. So um yeah. And then Grant returns it to the 18, but a holding penalty pushes Toronto back to the 8 to start the drive. And then on the broadcast when I watched the game back, TSN throws up a graphic that says the team that have trailed at halftime have won 3 straight in the Grey Cup, and now it's 4,
Oh,
but
That's
barely, right?
funny to
Because it was like
know.
1 point, right? So 4 straight Grey Cups have been won by the team that have been trailing at halftime. So that means that Winnipeg has won it by trailing at halftime once, and then just 3 times they were the victims of it, right? So that's fun. That's a fun fact. Thank you, TSN. uh, um, then yeah, Daniels converts on a catch for 9 for second and 4. Then he converts again on a 13-yard catch of an illegal contact penalty that was declined. And then Carey gets involved in back-to-back plays for first down conversion. And then I noticed that yeah, Mattel got a call for offside on like a failed waggle, because what the waggle is, I mean, you hear it talked about all the time in CFL broadcast, but what it is, it's like the moment before they cross the line of scrimmage that you're allowed like a buffer zone of movement within like a yard or so of the line of scrimmage before you can get called for offside, right? Because you have unlimited movement in the backfield, but like the waggle allows you just like a little extra, buffer zone just to make some last second moves before you go out in your route, right? But yeah, Mattel got called offside on the waggle, but because oh yeah, but because his left foot was touching the line of scrimmage, the penalty got negated on video review, right? But yeah, I had to explain the waggle, but yeah, it was another kind of video review, callback penalty, right? Just that was interesting, but didn't matter much because Arbuckle ended up getting strip sacked. Like he got sacked and he fumbled, but the Argos O-line did recover. Like the center recovered the fumble to keep the punting situation happening. Like I said, to keep the punt play alive, and then which was apparently very fortunate because like Whitehead, like he caught the punt and it was wibbling a little bit, and then like a Toronto player just hit him, and then it got loose, and then Toronto got the ball back, and I was going like, oh, Whitehead, oh no, unlucky Whitehead.
yep.
Well, we're not complaining because it was good for Toronto. So
Yeah, in any other circumstance, I'd be like, oh no. But yeah, in this circumstance, I'd be like, yeah, you've been doing that so many times to every other team, right? Just that kind of way to win, and yeah, you get a taste of your own medicine, right? Just
Oh,
yeah,
one play after Whitehead fumbled it, Mattel caught a wide pass to immediately give Toronto a touchdown, and they will take the lead 17-10
yeah,
with the
that's
extra
what good
point being
teams
good.
do. Yeah,
and they never
that's what good
relinquished the
teams.
lead. They never relinquished the lead after that.
Yeah, and well, they never relinquished the lead, but it was still like still a close game at this point, right? Still,
It was, yeah,
because
but like in the end,
yeah.
they got it done.
Yeah. Yeah, and then after, the immediate like touchdown pass after the fumble, it was just Winnipeg got a 2-and-out again. And Grant returned the punt to the Toronto 40, but a holding penalty pushed him back to 30. And then Terrell Bonds like intercepts Arbuckle going overthrow like a deep shot, on first down. Like he caught it, like the ball was like over his shoulder, then he caught it. Right,
What was he
just
doing there?
that was.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, that was a really good, interception because it's hard to catch something like when you can't see it, right?
Oh yeah.
Except
That
yeah,
pass was way off target.
way off target, and then yeah, Bonds intercepts that, and at the 40-yard line. But on this drive, I mean, like Oliveira, like on the first down, he ran for 35 yards to, convert immediately. So it's like shades of the Mattel touchdown where just immediately after a turnover happens, just Winnipeg just goes off and running instantly, right, with Oliveira. But yeah, then but yeah, Winnipeg fails to convert for more as Caleros throws high incomplete. And then in the process of that, like I think upon like watching the game, I think this was probably the turning point of the game for the Argos where Caleros injured his throwing finger on his throwing hand, right?
Yeah,
Um
that was massive, and
it was
we didn't know it
bloody
at the time because he just left, and I didn't have any explanation for it. But
yeah, I
he
thought it was
he didn't come back
concussed or
until later in
something.
the game, and he never looked the same after that. It was I don't even know how he got hurt, but it happened, and sometimes you just get a little
He banged
unlucky.
his hand. I think he might have banged his hand against like a play. It might have been like he banged his hand against a player as he threw it, and then he cut it. Right,
Yeah,
like it was a
maybe.
gash. It was a gash around like this part of the finger, right around here.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was a pretty deep cut. But yeah, then he had to come off just to get it taped up and just sewed up. But yeah, but because of that incompletion, Castillo was forced to boot the 40-yard field goal to tighten the lead to 17-13, and then Ungar the third converts immediately on first down, so for Toronto on a catch and run for 15, and then uh, another I guess we call it ascent to Nostradamus ascent moment. I said, I'd like to see a trick play here. And then Dinwiddie heard me and said, okay. And then he
He
tried for
did.
a flea flicker that failed. Right. And then I turned to my dad and go, that's why I'm not a coach. Just yeah. Um yeah, I like seeing that, attempt at a trick play happen. It's always fun to see it happen no matter what. But with the failure, just got tackled for a loss of 9 and first down, and then Arbuckle overthrows Unger to force the Argos to punt. But and then this happened like right as yeah, right as the third quarter ended, right? Like there were zeros on the clock for the third quarter. The Bombers blocked the punt, and then he recovered it at the Toronto 27. However, there was a loose ball interference penalty, and you complained about that earlier. Uh, done by pushing the
Question.
potential ball recovery like out of the way, right
Which that's
before
a
you can
penalty.
make a
That's
recovery, right?
absolutely a penalty. It's a rule we don't normally see invoked, but it was correctly called. The main issue I took with it was the penalty is an automatic first down.
Yep.
And if Toronto had just recovered that ball normally, it would have been a turnover on downs Winnipeg ball. So in my opinion, they got to look at this in the offseason, change the rule. Maybe it's just, repeat the down
Or 10
instead of
yards.
or 10 yards or something, but it's not just that Toronto got an automatic first down out of that.
It was an
Like,
automatic first down at the end of the third quarter,
yeah,
and it
exactly.
was
And then
after a block punt. Yeah.
you had the whole, TV timeout commercial. It could have been a huge momentum shift. It was called correctly, absolutely. But I just think the rule sucks. And yeah, that's my opinion.
Well, I mean, again, my opinion is like it's like with the Rouge. I mean, you don't see it like as often to. I mean, sure, it happened on like a pivotal game, but it's really again, it's a very rare penalty. Right? It's a very rare kind of situation for that to happen. So I'm not sure how much of a priority that's going to be for the CFL
I mean, in the
rules
end,
to change that.
the game was not a one score game or anything, so it's not like
Yeah,
they
but that
have
was
to change
that
it.
was a big moment because in the fourth quarter, after that penalty, like in the fourth quarter, Toronto's offense starts the quarter, like, well, yeah, it was a block punt, but then like yeah, first play of the fourth quarter, Willie Jefferson just intercepts Arbuckle coming close. Like he was a defensive end who was jumping up to grab the ball. Or no, he was jumping up to try and deflect the ball, but he ended up like grabbing it instead for an interception. And
Billy
then
Jefferson played a great game. He's a huge body, great presence in the defense.
yeah, I just think that well, he'd probably be a life or prairie CFL defender, right? At least
I'd expect
just
so.
be nice to come over to BC just to help out bets. But
Oh yeah.
anyways, yeah. So Garrett Wilson is here if in a quarterback for the Bombers, but it was only for this drive as we found out because Colorado starts coming in later. But Toronto, well, yeah, Toronto gets called for pass interference on 2nd and long to make Winnipeg snap it to 15. Wilson nearly gets intercepted in the end zone by Franklin on first down on like a floating kind of pass that it was like setting up there for Franklin to catch. Like it was like right there for him to catch, and it just like bounced off his fingertips, and he was just really just doing that, right? It was he was hiding. He wanted to hide. Like, how did I not catch that? Right? Uh, but well, I guess clearly the football gods must have heard him, right? But yeah, uh, failed to yeah. Then Wilson, well, Wilson throws to Wheatfall like the touchdown pass that could have been like it flew through his hands to through Wheatfall's hands. It goes through his hands, right? So, but it probably would have been negated by the offside penalty that came after, anyways. But yeah, that was a close call there for Winnipeg. Um, and then Castillo boots a chip shot field goal to shorten the lead to 17-16. And then, of course, there was another offside call on Franklin, but that was denied because I think O'Shea might have wanted to take the points over the penalty, which at the time it was a good call. But yeah, then on Toronto's next drive was basically there's a lot of conversions by Kelly and McMahon. A Bombers linebacker at some point got injured on the drive, and then I thought to myself, "Oh, that's that might be good news for the Argos, right?" And I thought to myself like that was important. And then yeah, then the Grey Cup is being carried out by the Mounties, the RCMP Mounties, like in the within the fans, right? We saw that and we go, oh, I want that right now, right? I'll give my whole life just to see BC win it again, right? I'm sick of waiting for 13 years, and
Well, maybe next year.
there's always next year, you know. uh, so yeah, the Grey Cup is visible in the stands, and then Arbuckle. This was the one I mentioned earlier in the stats where Arbuckle ran and converted for 10 yards. My dad didn't think that was a first down, but I knew it was because I could see that the ball was like a little bit beyond the sticks. So I got like hawk eyes for that kind of stuff, right? um, yeah, barely converted for 10 yards, but then on 2nd and 6, then I really made like I really bolded this. I made a big note of this. Then because of the score and the following, because this is on 2nd and 6. It was 7:31 to go in the fourth quarter. It was a 17-16 game, right? Like it was that close up until like and this is the moment where everything falls apart for Winnipeg because Arbuckle threw a 17-yard touchdown strike to a wide open Brissett to increase the lead to 24-16. And then that was just a wide open path. Like yeah, the linebacker being injured, that was really a huge part of why that happens, right? Because you're working with a backup linebacker and they don't know they're coming in cold, right? So yeah, and then on Winnipeg's ensuing possession, Whitehead returns it to the 26th, and then after an Argo injury, and then Colaros had like a glove on his hand, and the TSN broadcast basically told the audience that this is the first time all year that Colaros is wearing a glove, right?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't wear gloves. uh,
This is where the rails came off.
yeah, this is where the wheels came off. Like as soon as Columbus put the glove on, it was the glove of doom for the Bombers
Yes.
because um
3 picks. Boom, boom, boom.
three
3 picks.
Yeah. The first one here, it again I said I mentioned like it clearly affected his throwing mechanics because he underthrew Wilson and he got intercepted by Amos, who went all the way back to the 15-yard line. And then there's like a misconduct penalty on Nichols on Winnipeg's defense, like when Toronto's offense gets on the ball.
This is where the self-destruct began.
Yeah, the self-destruction began, and then it's like half the distance to the goal, so to the 8-yard line, and then Winnipeg's defense. Well, yeah, Winnipeg's defense did hold on, right? I mean, Toronto did score a field goal, could have been a touchdown, but they did score like a field goal to go up 27-16, and then, well, a little bit before that, I was thinking, I still think Winnipeg might be able to win this. I mean, it looks like a long shot, but they have the pedigree. They have the mind womb in me that I'm like I'm expecting them to do some kind of magic, some kind of devil magic to come back and win. But then like a little bit after I thought about that, streaker delay. There was a naked woman just like running around the field and just the security guards were just
They're just lazy.
casual about they were casual about well no they were casual about it like this is
I think that's their plan, not to give the person too much attention. That's the way it should be. Don't let these morons have any attention.
I said I just put it succinctly then after a streaker delay as if it was like a normal thing that happened at a football game like I kind of like Leslie Nielsen did, right? Well, I made it as bland as possible, even though, a streaker delay would be like the funniest thing ever, right? But yeah, all of that converts on a 10-yard pass. Dembski runs offside to prevent a Lawler first down conversion for 2nd and 15. And then on 3rd and 3, it was like do or die for Winnipeg. On 3rd and 3, Klaus gets picked off by Priester, and he has his Tracy Porter moment. He ran it all the way back for a pick six to increase the lead to 34-16.
The
And
crowd,
I was like, yeah.
the crowd was going crazy. And I mentioned earlier there was a lot of Lions fans in our section who were also Argos fans for the hate of Winnipeg. It was loud, and this was the moment we all knew the Argos were winning the Grey Cup. It was amazing.
Yep.
Just a great
Again,
day.
Yeah, I felt I even joked about this after the game where like I need to wash my mouth off for like 5 hours for cheering for a Toronto team at stuff. But that was the loudest I think I will ever root for a Toronto team ever because of this, right. Or unless like the Blue Jays get like a walk off like Game 7 when it gets the Yankees in the ALCS or something, right? That'll be good. But
I realized I have that moment on video when I was going crazy after the interception for a touchdown. So I'll send that in the chat. Maybe we can play that over.
Yeah, I'll play that in the editing too, and then yeah, and then yeah. So that was like the dagger for the Bombers, and then Whitehead returned the kickoff to the 46th, and then it was another interception because the 3rd interception because McManus intercepts Caleros off of a deflection by Serezna. And he almost took it to the house like it was a back. If it was back-to-back pick sixes, that would have been like unprecedented territory for a Grey Cup game, right?
Oh yeah,
Picks really. Although I think the Priester pick six that was set on the TSN, that was the second longest pick six in Grey Cup history. The first one was by someone from the 1940s. Yeah, that was crazy. And then yeah, then Kerry runs in to finish the job. They got 41-16, and then on Winnipeg's next drive, they annoyed us all. Like I said, that's sore loser behavior, O'Shea, challenging a pass interference when the game is clearly over.
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, it was a clear penalty, but it was a waste of time and just kind of
Come
annoyed
on,
me.
man.
Come
Just
on,
go,
man.
just resign in
take your L.
disgrace.
Take an L. Well, yeah, they didn't resign. It was great. They scored a garbage time touchdown to make the score look better, but Toronto goes into victory formation. After that, and that's game over. 41-24. Argos win the Grey Cup. And I put here the Argos have won the 111th Grey Cup with their 19th Grey Cup win of the franchise. 2 out of 3 and 2 Grey Cups out of 3 games and an 8 straight dating back to 91. Nick Arbuckle gets named MVP of the game, and then Dejan Bouthette gets named Most Valuable Canadian. And I would have given it to a defensive player myself, at least for an MVP vote, but it is what it is. But certainly, I'd say probably Priester would be one, because he got the pick 6. But yeah, and then I put at the end just to be a little more snide because we hate the Bombers so much. I said Winnipeg has now lost 3 straight Grey Cup games, and yeah, they've lost 3 straight Grey Cup games now, and then now we're hoping let someone else in the West have a chance to win the Grey Cup, please.
But I
Right?
don't care if it's anyone else in the West, as long as it is not us. I want the Lions to
would be
make the Grey
ideal.
Cup next year.
Yeah, as long as it's not Winnipeg, right? Yeah.
I do want to say at the end of this celebration, sometime during it, Randy Ambrosie during his speech said that this was one of the best Grey Cup games of all time. And I would agree with him. I was walking out of the stadium thinking this is the best football game I've ever watched. And just a couple hours ago, I was watching Sunday night football. Monday night, what? I don't even lost track at this point. I was watching
Sunday.
the football game. I was thinking, how's the game? How am I supposed to watch a football game again, knowing it's not the Grey Cup? Because that was just insane.
Yeah, once the CFL goes away, we're instantly thinking hashtag is it June yet?
Yes, I'll be posting that on my Twitter a couple times soon.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe post that like every first day in a month. Is it June yet?
Yes, I will.
Just
There you go.
remind you about that. But yeah, this was not only was this like very fitting and Grey Cup game to go to for all of us. I mean, it was the end of like I'd say a very successful first season of the podcast, right? Considering all
Things
that
considered
happened.
very good. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, as far as getting started on a CFL podcast, I mean that was I'll never forget. As much as we're disappointed of how the Lions season ended. I mean, we were as neutrals, we were rewarded with a really good,
A really good
for the
Grey Cup
most part,
game.
playoffs and then the Grey Cup, right?
I think it's
So,
even better that I'm sorry to cut you off, but it got us a bit closer as friends too. I mean, last year we were only just talking in a group chat, and this time we're talking for an hour after every game. I got to meet you guys a couple times this year. Obviously,
And that was really great.
Touchdown Pacific was special. Jacob, I saw you at the drone show. Ascent, I saw you at Douglas College. And all the other. There's so many ways I've seen you guys. It's been so fun.
Absolutely. Can't wait for next year.
just on and off the field, like really like on and off the field, like our experiences are just
True.
yeah. It was just a lot of awesome stuff happening, even in the context of the Lions team being a 500 team that like got bounced early, right? But yeah, I
Oh,
do.
well.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I do think that over the course of this podcast, I do hope that we do get rewarded with seeing the Lions win a Grey Cup at some point in the near future, right? Because yeah, it's
That'd be nice.
but yeah,
Oh, well.
but yeah, for the Argos, I mean, yeah, mad props to them, right? They're coming in as like big underdogs, and they just locked down Winnipeg. I mean, Winnipeg did not look good for most, right? Just outside of a touchdown drive, and then yeah, it was just if I'm a Western Conference team, I'd be watching film of how the defense handles Kalaros and the offense, right? And I'd be going, got to do that a lot, right? And Toronto basically just executed just a great. All we had to do on offense was just do enough to win, and they did, right? And yeah,
Full marks to them. They seriously deserved it.
yeah. I mean, I guess you could argue that the fact that they barely I mean, yeah, they blew out Ottawa pretty badly with a 58-point win, but then they just I think they really showed their mettle against Montreal on the road where they barely eked by a win, right? With Arbuckle coming in after Chad Kelly got injured. But yeah, this was yeah, yeah. I mean, it would probably be stunning for casuals, but for hardcore CFLers, maybe not as much as it would be because again, Winnipeg is again now they've lost like three straight to the Eastern teams, right? Two to Toronto and one to Montreal. So yeah, I
Oh,
I gotta think this has got to be it for Winnipeg, right? For Grey Cup appearances.
Well,
uh,
we'll have to wait to see how the offseason goes and come back and make our predictions at that point.
yeah.
we don't want a situation again next year where they start the season 0-4 and we think it's certainly over, and then we lose four in a row or however many in a row.
Yeah, we definitely
To
don't want that.
it's
No.
honestly in our hands at this point. It really is. Um,
Yeah,
Yep.
as Aaron Boone would say from the Yankees, it's right in front of us, right?
it
uh,
is.
like it was well, no, I mean, for us, it was the Grey Cup was like literally right in front of us, and we're not seeing our team way that kind of hurts, right? But you know,
I know that's
uh,
what Doman had in mind, but it was ultimately the event was a success for him.
yeah, the event was a success overall, and yeah, our podcast had been pretty successful, I'd say too, and
I
I
think
do
so.
like hearing. I do like hearing from the fans. I mean, especially yeah, especially Hubert too, right? But
Yep. Um,
um,
regardless of the fans, even though we do love the fans, but I think it's just been fun for all of us. So that's my personal fan of it from it. I love doing this, and
I
I'm
agree. It's
excited
been
to
a
do
lot of
it.
fun looking forward for next year.
yes, so am I. I mean, like yeah, I had a lot of fun just doing something that I'm used to seeing from just watching either Steve Dangle with his SDPN network or even TSG. Like, I haven't told you that, but the kind of the inspiration I do for my game recap note taking is THG. Like I kind of write it in that style where it's just like well for hockey it would be it'd be just fans boo one like fans want to call, the referee doesn't, like he does that all the time, but for me it was
Yeah,
just like for me it was conversions and stuff like that, right? But I do tend to add a lot of dramatic verbosity to notes sometimes too, like chaotic things happening in a fumble fest or something like that, right? Uh,
it's funny.
There you
yeah,
go.
All
yeah,
right.
I guess well I have to yeah I have to be up early for tomorrow, so
We'll
yeah,
have to wrap it up here, I guess.
I'm heading to
yeah,
college
we'll just
tomorrow, so yeah.
Me too. I got
we're
work
gonna
early.
do we're gonna do a final social reads of the season, and then B, I
And
guess yeah, then we'll then see, we'll see. Well, yeah, actually, yeah,
Okay.
do the social reads first, and then I'll say what I have
Our
to say. Yeah,
email is sectiontwofourteen@gmail.com. YouTube at Section 214 BC Lions Podcast, and Twitter and Instagram at Section 214 Podcast. I almost forgot. There you go.
yeah, and the YouTube channel, and then yeah, we'll be doing yeah, from here on out, we'll be doing monthly uploads. I guess I guess most of them will probably be near the end of the month, but I do know that for February we want to have an episode on like a monthly episode on Valentine's Day because that's 214.
yeah,
So yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So other than the February day, most of our monthly episodes will probably be near the end of the month because it'd be like a recap of things that are happening. I mean, it won't be just us talking about the CFL, but we'll talk about hockey and just the NFL until February, and then whatever else comes to mind, right? And then we'll be doing that until uh yeah, the end of May. Yeah, I think the end of May episode will be like a significant one. We'll be getting into season predictions, so because that's when the CFL season will start to begin in June, right? So the end of
is it
May
June yet?
episode will be a big one, right? But
Is it
For
June
sure.
yet?
Hashtag is it June yet?
Ah, here we
hashtag
go.
is it June yet? Yeah. And yeah, Yeah, so yeah, great game, great season, and
Awesome
great
game.
See
show.
y'all soon.
Yeah, we'll see
See,
you near the end of the month or in December. So yeah, we'll see
we'll
ya.
see you next
Bye.
time.